The Memphis rap game just exploded, and nobody saw this coming. Black Youngsta, the same man who rode harder than anyone for Yo Gotti and CMG, just declared war on his former boss in the most shocking way possible. But here's the twist that's got everyone's blood running cold. This isn't just about money or disrespect. This could be about murder, betrayal, and the ghost of Young Dolph finally getting his revenge from beyond the grave. What started as whispers in the streets has now become a full-blown declaration of independence that's sending shockwaves through the entire hip-hop community. Black Youngsta didn't just leave CMG, he torched every bridge on his way out. And the messages he's sending on social media are so loaded with threat and venom that fans are genuinely fearing for lives. Because when former allies become enemies, in Memphis, history shows us that bullets start flying and graves start filling up. But let's rewind and break down exactly how we got to this explosive moment. For years, Black Youngsta was Yo Gotti's most loyal soldier, his attack dog, the one willing to get his hands dirty when things got heated. During the infamous Young Dolph conflict, while Gotti played things relatively low-key, Youngsta was out, here making direct threats, rolling up to Dolph's hometown armed and ready for war, and turning the beef into must-see television for the culture. The loyalty ran so deep that even after Young Dolph was gunned down in cold blood outside that cookie shop in Memphis, Black Youngsta couldn't help himself. He kept trolling, kept disrespecting a dead man, performing diss tracks at packed nightclubs, and even filming music videos in graveyards with tombstones bearing Dolph's real name. The internet went nuclear over his antics, but CMG stood by their man. Until now, everything changed when Black Youngsta shocked the world by scrubbing CMG completely from his social media bio and declaring his independence. Now, this isn't the first time Youngsta has gone rogue. He's pulled similar stunts before, including right before Gotti's birthday in previous years. But insiders are saying this time feels different. This time feels permanent. This time feels dangerous. The social media posts that followed were nothing short of explosive. The first message was dripping with threat and betrayal, talking about taking everything, referencing dead brothers, and laying down house rules about loyalty. But it was the second post that really set the streets on fire. Youngsta came for CB4 types, fake mob boss personas misleading the youth, calling out fake OGs, CEOs, and leaders. Anyone with half a brain cell knew exactly who he was talking about. See, this mob boss reference isn't random. Yo Gotti literally named himself after John Gotti, the legendary Italian mafia boss who ran the Gambino crime family. The connection between Gotti's persona and actual organized crime figures is documented, and Youngsta just called him out for living a fantasy while real people are dying in the streets. But here's where this story takes a turn that nobody anticipated. The timing of Black Youngsta's rebellion isn't coincidental. It's strategic, calculated, and potentially deadly. August 21st, 2025 marked a pivotal moment in the Young Dolph murder case when Hernandez Goan was acquitted of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy charges. This man was allegedly the mastermind middleman who helped orchestrate Big Jook's $100,000 bounty on Dolph's head. The prosecution's entire case crumbled when Big Jook died in January 2024. Leaving their star theory about the murder's orchestration in tatters. But here's the million-dollar question that's got everyone's mind racing. If the legal pressure is finally off, if the supposed masterminds are walking free, what does that mean for the people who know the real truth about what happened to Young Dolph? Industry insiders are whispering that Yo Gotti was never comfortable with Black Youngsta's reckless behavior after Dolph's death. The constant trolling, the graveyard videos, the nightclub performances of diss tracks. All of it was drawing unwanted attention to CMG at the worst possible time. When you've got associates potentially connected to a murder case, the last thing you want is your loudest artist painting targets on everyone's back. The relationship between these two men was always built on a delicate balance. Gotti needed Youngsta's street credibility and willingness to get dirty, while Youngsta needed Gotti's platform and protection. But with Young Dolph no longer serving as their common enemy, That alliance was bound to crack. And when alliances break in Memphis, especially ones built on blood and violence, the consequences are usually fatal. Let's talk about the trial testimony that's got everyone shook. Cornelius Smith, one of the alleged shooters, became the prosecution's star witness, pointing fingers and naming names to save his own skin. He identified himself and Justin Johnson in surveillance footage and testified about Big Jook's bounty on Dolph. But here's what's really wild. Even family bonds cracked under pressure. Jamarcus Johnson, Justin Johnson's own half-brother, flipped and pleaded guilty to accessory after-the-fact charges, potentially ready to testify against his own blood to avoid a lengthy sentence. This pattern of cooperation and snitching has created an atmosphere of paranoia and distrust that extends far beyond the courtroom. When people start talking to save themselves, everyone becomes suspicious of everyone. And in a world where loyalty is supposed to be everything, the breakdown of trust can be more dangerous than any bullet. The streets are buzzing with theories about why Black Youngsta really left CMG. Some say it's about money, that he wasn't getting his fair share of the empire he helped build with his loyalty and violence. Others think it's about respect, that after years of being Gotti's attack dog, he wanted recognition as an equal partner rather than a disposable soldier. But the darkest theory is the one that's got fans genuinely scared for what comes next. What if this split isn't just about business or ego? What if Black Youngsta knows something about Young Dolph's murder that he's been keeping quiet? And now, he's ready to talk? The timing with the trial outcomes, the cryptic social media posts about dead brothers and loyalty, the sudden confidence to break away from his former protection, it all adds up to something much bigger than a typical label dispute. Remember, this beef didn't start with social media posts or diss tracks. It started with real bullets and real blood. The first assassination attempt on Young Dolph happened during CIA weekend in Charlotte back in 2017, with over 100 shots fired in broad daylight. Black Youngsta was arrested along with 2 others for that incident, though charges were eventually dropped. The second attempt happened at a Hollywood hotel, leaving Dolph requiring surgery and LAPD naming Yo Gotti as a person of interest. These weren't warning shots or scare tactics. These were legitimate attempts to end a man's life. And they kept happening until finally, on that November day in 2021, 2 masked gunmen succeeded where others had failed, gunning down Young Dolph outside Makita's homemade cookies in Memphis. The city lost more than just a rapper that day. They lost a voice of independence, authenticity, and resistance to the machine. But here's what makes this current situation so explosive. The original beef between Dolph and Gotti started over business. A rejected record deal offer back in 2012 that went sideways when Gotti allegedly disrespected his own artists to try to recruit Dolph. Add in rumors about Dolph's relationship with Gotti's baby mama, and you had all the ingredients for a conflict that would span nearly a decade and cost multiple lives. Now, we're potentially looking at history repeating itself, but this time, the former allies are turning on each other. Black Youngsta and Yo Gotti don't just know each other's business secrets, they know each other's street secrets. They know where the bodies are buried, literally and figuratively. They know who ordered what, who paid for what, and who pulled what triggers. The fear in Memphis right now is palpable. Young Dolph fans are still raw over Hernandez Goen's acquittal, feeling like justice was denied when the supposed mastermind walked free despite evidence of his involvement. The successful murder came after years of failed attempts, and seeing key figures escape accountability has only intensified the anger and desire for street justice. What happens next could determine whether Memphis rap sees another wave of violence or whether cooler heads prevail. But given the history, given the personalities involved, and given what's at stake, most people aren't betting on peace. When you've got 2 men who know each other's darkest secrets suddenly becoming enemies, when you've got unsolved murders hanging over everyone's head, and when you've got the streets watching for any sign of weakness, the situation becomes a powder keg waiting for a spark. Black Youngsta's departure from CMG isn't just the end of a business relationship. It's potentially the beginning of the next chapter in Memphis rap's most deadly saga. The question isn't whether more violence is coming. The question is who's going to survive it. who's going to get the justice they've been seeking, and whether Young Dolph's death will finally be avenged by the very chaos it created. The game has changed. The players are choosing sides, and Memphis is holding its breath. Because when former family becomes enemies in the rap game, especially when murder charges and street credibility are on the line, history shows us that somebody's going to bleed. The only question left is who, when, and how many more lives this decade-long war is going to claim before it's finally over.